and the Achilles, and we're seeing Melissa on the floor with the bended hands. Please, let's have the family get together. And it just feels so final. And the one person, Teresa reconciled with her, the one that matters, Jacqueline Lorita, we see a flashback with her. And it just feels so final. New Jersey, as we know it, is over. I just accept change. You got to accept it. Change is good. No one likes it. It's good. It's good. Change is good. We have to move forward in the world. So it really does feel like this is what's happening. It is such an energy suck. Dolores shows up at Rails. Of course, we're doing this at Rails. It's almost like, they knew. I don't know if they knew. They just knew this was the end. I don't know if it's the end of the series. I don't think it is, actually. I got some things to say about that. So Dolores shows up to Rails, and we're showing the flashbacks, but she says, look at the birds in the sky, and it's good energy. Let's not think about what happened here in the past. Well, Dolores, girl, poor thing. She's hopeful after 8 seasons. Then we show all the past things at Rails. It also feels final. It's over. It's over. Is it really over? So Dolores has everyone see. Here's the problem with Teresa. Here's the problem with the series. Everyone is supposed to sit across from their enemy. Dolores comes up with a seating chart. Nobody likes it, but you have to do it. And Teresa walks in and says, I don't want to sit across from her. Well, I understand you don't want to sit across from Margaret. She does get points for saying everything she's eating is going to be on her. Kind of funny, and she means it, guys. We've seen it before, but for $2 million, girl, if you're sitting across from Margaret, sit across from Margaret. I don't think Jen and Danielle want to sit across from each other, even though at the end of the day, they ended up not, because Teresa shuffled everyone. But the point is they would have, and yet this is the problem with Teresa. Well, she don't want to do. Well, that's not the show. The show is called an ensemble show, and you got to do things. So, but she walks right in, and she don't want to sit across from that Margaret. Well, I get it, but it's $2 million, and that's where you're sitting. Sit down and shut the fuck up and earn your paycheck, okay? We start with Jen versus Danielle, and these girls are good. We go back to the charity thing. I've said this before. I agree with Jennifer on this. There are different schools of thought. Other people have said one thing. I completely agree with Jennifer Aydin on this. Me sitting up here in my ivory tower, if I was to throw a charity event, people think, oh, you talk about this and money. So how would you feel if I said, I threw a charity event, we made $40,000, and I gave myself $20,000 because that's how much it cost me? People would say, bitch, you have 3 homes. Give me a fucking break. I know Danielle doesn't, but that's not the point. I feel when you throw a charity event, you don't pay yourself back. That's my opinion. I will die on that sword. So I do agree with Jennifer Aydin on this. When you throw a charity event, that's why you're throwing it. You're reaching into your pocket. If I spent $10,000 to put on an event, we made 30 goes to the charity. I'm out 10, but I donated my $10,000 to the restaurant and the prizes so that people would come and give $30,000 to the charity. So when I give $30,000 to the charity, I've lost $10,000. It's the same as me giving $10,000 to the charity. I've spent the money to raise the money for the charity. I should not be paying myself back. I don't have to do it, but if I did, it's under the guise of I want to help my charity. That's why it's called charity work. I agree with Jennifer on this one. But then they go back and forth, and it just gets so good. And she says this and that, and you want my life. And look, I do believe Jennifer is not happy. That's my honest opinion. My opinion is Jennifer is like like you can't even feel sorry for her, I guess. It's like she's just a girl who grew up in her parents' house and went right to Bill and never got to know Jennifer. There is no strong backbone of a foundation there. And I'm not criticizing her. And then Bill cheats and she stays because what are you going to do? Stand on your own 2 feet with 2 kids? Yeah, but she doesn't have that in her. And then look, good for her for moving past it until Margaret brings it up. I think the way she handled it was phenomenal. He didn't cheat with the sales girl. He cheated with the secretary, you dumb bitch. I thought that was great. But my point is sometimes you got to learn who you are. You got to date yourself. It brings a strong foundation. And I don't think Jennifer has that strong, like, I'm okay surviving in the world. You either have it or you don't. I mean, I have it. I'm the most single person I know, but I just think she's like a little girl in that sense. I think she acts so, when they ask her, are you going to be okay after the show? Like, yeah, I'll count my Ferraris. Like, get the chip off your shoulder, girl. So I do believe that when Danielle's like, girl, you have 18 bathrooms. I mean, it's 16, but who's counting? I don't want nothing you got. I agree with Danielle that she is not jealous of Jennifer and her big house in fucking Paramus, New Jersey. That Danielle is very happy with Nate, and they like, I don't want anything. And she says, you're crying at home at night. It's over. Jennifer calls her a clown. And then we get into exactly what Melissa's old nose said would happen. Jennifer refers to he's the one that wears the bra or the boobs. He had the gynecomastia, which Bill had. Danielle gets out of control. Yes, the tree huggers will say, look at the violence on Cabral. Okay, fine. She got up. This security is called in. Jennifer said, get her out of here. They're considering it. The smartest one in the whole fucking group is Fessler. But before we get to that, while that's happening, Melissa and Teresa speak for the first time all season. We have waited for this. She says, come down, come down. And she said, you know, whatever. She says, come down, no violence. And Melissa's like, oh, please, you're the queen of this. And Teresa's like, fuck you, white trash. Melissa's old nose has revealed on our podcast that Teresa called her afterwards and said, remember the words white trash. We have to use that. Is white trash such a slang and such a slanderous term? But apparently Teresa called Melissa's little nose and said, we have to use this because it's such a bad term. I mean, it's not a nice term. I understand that. But like, then I guess Melissa's old nose had to remind Teresa, you can't use white trash against Melissa. It's all on our episode last week because you called Margaret white trash last season at the finale. Fine. She keeps saying whore, whore, whore. My brother married a whore. Then they go outside. I love that Danielle Cabral is not afraid to stick up to Teresa. Teresa is like, come down. And she's like, it's not about you, Teresa, for once. It's not about you. I love that. Danielle was really upset. Jen Fessler, smartest one of us all. She's like, I'm out. You animals are used to this, and you animals have done this for years and years, but this is too much for me. She's a classy lady, Jen Fessler. Look, if the season comes back, series comes back, I have mixed feelings on Fessler. I could see this being like, girl, you can't handle it. Why are you coming back? Or I could see it like, we need another Dolores on our hands that doesn't want to put up with this shit. So Jen Fessler leaving, I don't think makes or breaks her future. I got things to say about that when I do that episode. But Jen Fessler is out, which Melissa's old nose also called. She says, you guys have gotten used to this level of aggressiveness. I am not. She helped throw the lunch, but she's out. Jen says, I give Danielle permission to stay. Melissa Gorga, very funny this episode. She's sitting there and she's like, I'll just sit here, me, the whore, the stripper. She's making reference to Strippergate. That brings us back to a different time. We had Nicole Carasquiglo on our podcast right here on Patreon. She danced with Melissa. She says Melissa is a stripper. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But Melissa's being very funny. I'm a whore. I'm a stripper. I'll just sit over here. It is some kind of closure. We bring it back. Have nothing to say.